Dear students, welcome to our class on JRF SRF Net 2022 Agriculture Meteorology 10. In this class, we try to understand some bits with reference to what is micrometeorology, what is environment, and in the environment. So what are the environmental sciences? Usually some bits would come. That's why I'm very keen in this class number 10. So here what we try to understand is what is environment, what is subdivisions of environment. These bits would come. What are the scales of micro, meso, micro, topo, meso and macro scales of meteorology? These bits would come. That's why now please try to understand what is environment. See, in the class number 9, I tried to impress upon you that air, the gaseous mixture, we call it as the air. Air in its horizontal motion, we call it as the wind. Air in its vertical movement, we call it as the air currents. So they are the things. What is eddy? Eddy is a parcel of air or parcel of fluid. Maybe air, maybe water, parcel of fluid which retains its properties to some extent in the environment, okay, in the fluid, in its fluid, okay, it has got a pocket, has its own characteristics, and it loses when it moves from one place to other place, and even in the atmosphere also, eddies are same, okay, it is a disturbance, okay, a disturbance or a packet of air, a pocket of air which goes from one layer to other layer. Why on its move, it loses its specific characteristics and mixes with the environment around it. So where we should understand the environment. So that is the mixing length, So where the air parcel, not air molecule, air parcel move, maybe in some cases few meters, maybe in case of cyclones, even more than that also. So okay, so they retain their character, but finally they move into the characteristics of the fluid in which they are moving. If it is water, good. If it is oil, good. If it is air, it is good. So they retain the air of characteristic of that air or fluid or water, whatever it may be. Now here the environment. What is the definition? A collective form. What is environment? By definition, a collective form embracing all conditions in which organisms live. Once again, for your academic interest, I read this bit will come. It's likely, most likely, or you may be asked in the written part or even in the viva. A collective form. Environment is a collective form embracing all the conditions in which organisms live. What are the organisms? Micro to pests, to diseases, to algae, fungi, whatnot. But all these things we call it the environment. It is a collective form. Now, there are two basic subdivisions. Number one, physical or abiotic. Physical or abiotic or non-living environment. That is one. Physical or abiotic or non-living environment. So examples of all the weather elements, solar radiation, temperature, humidity, pressure, wind, soil, all these things are the physical or non-biotic or abiotic, or you can say non-living environment. Biotic environment or living environment, examples of soil organisms, insects, pests, etc. Now, so both these environments, abiotic and biotic environments, affect the distribution of organisms in different habitats. The environment can also be divided into, the environment can also be divided into micro environment, macro environment. Micro environment, macro environment. What is micro environment? This is the immediate surrounding of an organism. That is the immediate surrounding of an organism. Say, if you take a cropped field, what is microclimate? The climate of a cropped field, we call it as a microclimate. What is micrometeorology? That I defined several times. Micrometeorology has been defined as a science concerned with detailed examination of the microscale basis of the physical and meteorological factors that are taking place within the ecosphere. What is ecosphere? Just below the root zone, just above the crop canopy. What is the ecoclimate? Just below the root zone to just above the crop. What is the climate that prevails during its crop cycle? We call it the ecoclimate. Now, like biotic and abiotic environment, micro environment, macro environment. What is micro environment? Just surrounding the organism, we call this the micro. What is the macro? This is the total of physical and biotic environment that surrounds the organism, and it's a micro environment. Micro environment is a part of the macro environment. So this is the basis for dividing in another way of environment. Environment is biotic and abiotic, micro or macro. Now, so in the macro, micro environment is a part of it. Now, so different groups of climate. For easy understanding of the study of the climate, it is expressed in 3 different ways. Microclimate. Okay, I told several times, the climate of a crop field. Mesoclimate. Okay, this is the climate of a region or location, maybe one district. Okay, meso. So macroclimate, the climate of almost global in nature. Okay, monsoon climate, southwest monsoon climate, northeast monsoon climate. So these are the basic groups of climate. Now, for agricultural meteorological purposes, the World Meteorological Organization, WMO, Geneva, Switzerland. I was very fortunate to be a part of that GAMP, wonderful book, Guide to Agricultural Meteorological Practices, GAMP, Chapter 2, highlight the world group. So, in that book, it was defined agricultural meteorologically, for micro meteorological observations by we, the agricultural meteorologists. Okay, micro scale, there are 4 scales for micro scale, topo scale, meso scale, and macro scale. What is micro scale? Less than 100 meters. Meso scale, 100 to 3 kilometers. Topo scale, 100 to 100 meters to 3 kilometers. That may be a village. Okay, topo scale. 100 meters, a crop field of a farmer. The whole village, topo scale, that 100 meters to 3 kilometers, 3 kilometers to 100 kilometers is the meso scale. Most likely a district, and more than 100 kilometers is the macro scale. So, this macro scale is 2 or 3 districts are global in nature. That's what we call it. Now, here, very interesting bits these things may appear in the form of bits. That's why, what is environment? What are the types of environment? Micro environment, macro environment. Before that, abiotic environment, biotic environment. 3 types of climates. Micro, meso, macro. From agricultural meteorological point of view, for the meteorological agrometeorological observations, micro scale up to 100 meters, topo scale 100 meters to 3 kilometers, meso scale 3 kilometers to 100 kilometers, and macro scale 100 kilometers to. Usually we don't limit it, but in my book, I have written like 100 kilometers to 1000 kilometers and above. That's what. Why that reason is that certain countries are very, very small. Okay, certain countries are very, very, very big. So they are global in nature. Sometimes Mediterranean climate, monsoon climate. You see southwest monsoon, northeast monsoon. Northeast monsoon climate is relatively much less than the southwest monsoon climate. So that's why. So meso scale, after meso scale, macro scale is any global phenomena, we call it. Now from here we try to understand 2 very, very interesting things: dependent microclimate and topo microclimate. Dependent microclimate means usually what happens is, before we discuss with about the dependent microclimate or topo climate, please understand that you are standing in front of a 100-acre farm of a farmer, or 50-acre farm. Some of the 50 acres, 20 acres are cropped fields, 30 acres are not cropped. But radiant energy falls on both the cropped and cropped field and fallow field. Am I right? Now, here what happens is, the energy that had fallen, first let us talk of bare field. It directly hits the bare field, a little of it is reflected, a little of it is going into the crop. There the latent heat fluctuations are less as compared to here. In the 20 acre there is a crop. When sun rays are falling, the latent heat plays an important role. In addition to the fluxes of all, momentum flux, mass flux, heat flux, there is a latent heat of LE, latent heat of vaporization. What is that? When once crop is intercepting the solar radiant energy, so net radiation Rn is equal to Lg plus G plus A plus miscellaneous. What is Rn net radiation? The difference between the incoming and outgoing, okay? It is in the crop. So that net radiation is divided into latent heat, approximately 80% of it. Sensible heat and ground heat flux maybe 10% and 10%. In miscellaneous, that is 2 to 3% is trapped by that crop. See, here what I am interested to impress upon you to understand dependent microclimate and topo microclimate. Both are microclimate, dependent and topo. What is dependent microclimate? Say for example, in coastal areas. Yes, your college, your agriculture college, your horticulture college is there in a coastal area. During the daytime and early in the evening, land and sea breezes occur. Okay, sea breezes occur during the daytime. Why sea breezes occur during the daytime? But during the daytime, as compared to water in the sea, that is Bay of Bengal. Okay, as compared to water in the Bay of Bengal, your land gets heated up quicker, so that there is a low pressure as compared to, okay, over as compared to the Bay of Bengal on the surface. So from Bay of Bengal, so winds will move to the land. So sea, from the sea, the breezes come. Sea breezes occur during the daytime. Now reverse will happen after the sunset. What happens? Just before the sunset, or you can say after reaching the maximum temperature at around 215 or 230 degrees centigrade in the tropical area. Now what happens? The ground starts, the land starts, getting cooled because of radiation cooling. Now, the water gets heated up relatively. So, there is a low pressure over the Bay of Bengal as compared to the land. And from here, from land to sea, land breeze occurs. So, that's why in the evening, even if we keep fans and everything, we won't feel it comfortable. So many mosquitoes start biting and so many insects just try to move around your bulbs and everything in the home. So, because the wind had gone from the land to the sea, land breeze. Of course, it sets down in a few hours, no doubt. But here what I meant to say is that these are the things that we call it as the dependent microclimate. Dependent microclimate, they are confined to our agriculture college and 4 to 5 kilometers or maximum 7 to 8. After that, it won't be there. So, that's why dependent micro. Here, very interesting thing is this particular breezing phenomena, sea breezes and land, similarly, mountain winds and valley winds. It's a very interesting thing. Mountain winds during the night time, valley winds during the daytime. So valley winds causes by afternoon some rain. Mountain winds in the evening, they cause a lot of draining of air, so that so much of air will be there in areas where mountains are there, in the plain area. From mountains to, so there the crops, and here the crops, land and sea breezes, mountain and valley winds, where they are persistent, peculiar vegetation will be there. It is specific to that particular land and sea breeze area, mountain and valley wind. That's what we call it as the micro, climate. At what level? The microclimate of dependent on the sea, dependent on the mountains. So here, so topo microclimate, topographically. So if you go to an area, variations in the photoperiod, you will find orographic influences of rainfall, funneling of cold air into the valleys. Okay, what are all these things? These are all the things. If you go to a hilly area, what you find in a hilly area? It is a hill is a fixed. Sun's rays fall. If it is facing the northern hemisphere side, it is always cool. When it is the hilly area facing the southern hemisphere, equator to the southern, from equator is there. The area which is facing the equator, that is the southern side will have one type of vegetation. The area of the same hill facing the opposite to the equator side, we will have another vegetation. So same mountain, but two sides will have two different flora, fauna, and even animals as well. This is what we call it as a dependent topoclimate, microclimate, otherwise microclimate. Topo means because of the topography, microclimate. So this side of the mountain, this side of the hill, and that side of the hill, because the photoperiod differs a lot. The orographic influence on rainfall may occur. Orographic influence on momentum flux, mass flux, heat flux also occurs differently on different sites. This is what we call the topo microclimate. Now finally, last bit I would like to say that microclimates of natural vegetation. What is meant by microclimates of natural vegetation? See, in situ, dependent and topo microclimates of natural vegetation types determine the kind of flora that can grow in association with them. See, both what we discussed 2 minutes each, the dependent microclimate, topo microclimate, these will determine specific to that area the crops grown, specific to that area the medicinal plants grown, specific to that area other small groups of different kinds of flora and fauna that are grown in that area. So this is a historical monument for that region, for that area. So there only you will find certain specific plants. So this is what I would like to share with you. Bits may come in any form. That's why I have explained to you, instead of bits filling the blanks or multiple choices or list 1, list 2, that in the advanced course, even in the write-up, these are useful. That's why I am covering advances like this. Thanking you very much for your very patient hearing.